Hey everybody, this is Tony.
And this is Paul. We're coming at you from the Friends for Life podcast, where we discuss the ongoing lives and issues of people with developmental disabilities to spark positive change in the field.
And we have a lot of fun doing it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Friends for Life podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. If you can, help us out. Go down below, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you'd like to come work here with us at Friends for Life, head over to friendsforliferc.com. Click on the employment tab, fill out the form, and we'll get back with you. Today, our special guest is Brian Jones. He's a veteran of the DED field, working here for almost 30 years, and also a very talented musician. Today, we talk about his history in working in the field, some really awesome stories from his time, and how his passion of music and working in this field intersect. It's a really great conversation, so let's dive right into it. Brian, welcome to the Friends for Life podcast. Tony had a little snafu. He got stuck in some traffic, so we're just going to rock it with you and me today, but that's okay. We're going to have a good time. Anyway, so before we get into all your music and all the cool stuff you've been doing lately, why don't you give people a little introduction about yourself and then kind of how you got into the field and what you do for a living, and then we'll go from there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
For one, I really appreciate this opportunity. It's amazing how I landed doing this job. I'm a military veteran. I did 13 years in the Army, for one.
Awesome.
I did 8 years active and 5 years reserve. But one of the things that really interests me working in this field, I used to work in high school for credit, 1 hour a day, with individuals with disabilities.
Okay.
And that's how I was introduced to it, along with my mom. She used to work for Sunshine. So I was familiar with the work and with the individuals, but I never really thought I'd be working directly with them because I wanted to go just like any athlete. I was an athlete playing basketball, football. So my dreams was to play college and move on to the pros. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I ended up in the military. And then when I came home, I'm like, what am I going to do? What can I do? I saw an ad in the paper. I went out. I was a bus monitor. And it was cool. But the first week, I got to admit, it was rough.
We hear that a lot.
Being a big guy,
Yeah.
they put me on the real difficult NODC routes. And I ended up staying. Long story short, I ended up staying. And I enjoyed it. I got a totally different feel working with individuals with disabilities than working any other job. It was a sense of purpose, a sense of, of helping someone. So I also was working at Jeep. So I'm at a crossroad, do I stay at Jeep or do I continue this job? Of course, it wasn't paying as much as Jeep, but in my mind, it's like, man, if I go back to school, get my education, maybe I could make the money along with enjoying the job, and that's what I ended up doing. I quit Jeep, went back to school, ended up getting my degree, and became a behavior specialist. Well, first a HAP spec, and then a behavior specialist. I just follow where God lead. I let God lead me into the place where I need to be. I prayed about it, and here I am.
Yeah.
27 years later.
That's a career right there.
Yes.
So, do you have any kind of stories from your career? I mean, that's a long time. You got to have some good ones. Is there any real success stories? Because one of the things that we try and do here at Friends for Life is, we don't want to have people so reliant on us. We're working to get clients to be able to just do what they want to do on their own, whether that's through remote supports, whether that's through, just working one-on-one. Is there any kind of success stories that you've seen over the years?
Man, yes. I can honestly say I started back when there was a totally different board. I mean, we used to put our hands on, we used to hold them down, we used to take downs. That was part of the plan if it was in the behavior plan. But I never felt good about that. And I remember one year going to a People First seminar in Columbus, Ohio. And I saw this individual. He used to have the same type of behavior plan that I had of a guy that, I'm just being honest, for back in the day, you see someone, you say they're going to be like this for life. That was the mentality, which we were dead wrong. And I seen this guy up there giving the seminar. He was facilitating the seminar, and he gave background of himself, and along with the person that was co-facilitating with him, and they spoke of this gentleman the way he was, and I was so shocked and impressed at the same time, because he had the same type of real aggressive behaviors that the gentleman that I worked with. And it's like, wow. And I wanted to know, how did he become this person facilitating? And they gave the story on taking a chance, letting him grow, being independent, teaching him ways of expressing his language and using his words instead of his teeth biting and hitting. And now he's facilitating, telling jokes. And I'm like, wow, I'll never forget that long ride home. I felt like a loser. I said, man, all these years, we did nothing for our individuals. All we did was collect a check. And I really took it personally to my facility manager that was riding with that day, told me, man, don't worry about that, man. That's what we were taught. That's why we come to these seminars, to find better ways to, working with our individuals. And I really took that personally. And I say from this point on, it's all about developing, not just if a guy didn't hurt nobody, if he didn't get hurt, we thought we did a great job. No, what did he learn that day? So that was my whole journey after that. What can I teach? How can I help this guy be independent? And from that point on, that's the way I approach it.
That's really super important, I think, nowadays, because and this is all brand new to me. I've been working at Friends for Life for maybe a year and a half now, 2 years, just with their media and stuff, and I've seen so many awesome things. I've learned so much. And, my family also has a background working in this field as well. My grandma worked a lot of industries for many, many years. My wife, she works in Fulton County on the board, and she used to work at Sunshine, so she's been doing this for a long time. So, I hear all these stories my whole life, and I've been to these places with them for events and things, and it's different to see it when you're working here. You see the change, you see the impact you're having on people, and it's awesome. We've got people here writing music and doing awesome stuff, which we talked a little bit about, and we'll get into now. I mean, you got a recording studio at home. You said you've just had a individual you're working with put out a song, or was it a song or an album?
Yeah, a song. He wants to do an album.
Yeah,
but we just finished the first single.
What's that like?
Man, that was my most challenging, because I also did a song with another individual, and it was less challenging because he came in, his cadence and all that was good, on point. You could tell he was used to doing it. This guy has a totally different type of cadence as well as timing. So it's more difficult, more challenging, because, of course, with music, it's all about timing.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't have that timing, it makes it difficult. It could be done, because I do a lot of editing, splicing, moving. But I completed the single. It sounds good. He did a remake of a song that was challenging for me, came to get, what's that song, Going to the Chapel, Gonna Get Married, and we did it more of a Marilyn Manson style, so it was a challenge, a huge challenge for me as well. So, but it's completed, and he wanted to do a John Lennon song next. So we doing like fun. Some cover music. So
that's awesome. I mean, I think a lot of people look past music as an outlet.
Oh, man, it's
sometimes
great therapy.
It's great therapy. You don't have to be great at it. You don't have to be Freddie Mercury or anybody. Any of these big rock stars. I mean, it's a great outlet just to jam, and it's a good way to express yourself. And I think I'd love to see more of it in the field, and clients doing this kind of stuff. And it doesn't have to be award-winning, but if someone loves music, it's such a great outlet.
Yes.
And do you see joy with this? I mean, music can be frustrating. You and I both know that too. But does it bring joy?
The joy comes in the creation and while you're doing it. Now the frustration comes in the editing part.
Oh yeah.
Because you want it just right. But while we're doing it, oh my God, it's fun, it's rewarding, it's heartfelt, you know, and I appreciate the effort because you see the effort. It's like, wow, you know, it remind me of basketball and football when you want to just be the best out there.
Yeah.
You can see the individual that's singing, he want to be the best. He talk about being, you know, #1 single, and they dream, they drive, all that stuff is there, right there at that moment. So yeah, it's really, really rewarding, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, the dream is what keeps music alive for a lot of us.
Yes.
It's just reaching for that next piece, that next riff, that next jam. So, you know, what's some of the stuff that you've been working on lately? You know, in 28 years, you've had to see a ton of things change, as you kind of already hinted at. But what's kind of stuff now that you're working on, maybe kind of aspiring to change the way? Because I mean, Tony and I talk about this quite a bit. Like, we've come a long way in the field, but we still have a long way to go. So,
yes.
I guess what I'm asking is, what kind of changes are you kind of hoping for here in the next, 10, 15, 20 years, you know?
The biggest change that I think that will help and benefit DSPs is the way they approach the individual. Don't look at them as some charity case or someone who totally depend on you, but look at them as a person, like in the mirror, like you're looking at yourself, looking at they're no different from you and I. They want relationships. They want to be wanted. They want friendships. You know, they just want to have fun. They want someone to talk to. So you have to approach them that way. Approach them like somebody in your family member, you know, like someone you really want to build that relationship with. You want to get to know much about them, and you got to share information with them as well. And if you approach that, you see them starting to warm up and accept you because they've been looked at the wrong way for so long, so many years. It's hard to gain their trust, you know, because they want you to accept them for who they are, the heart-loving, you know, caring type of person they are, and not their disability. But they want you to find their abilities and really respect the things that they do, and not the things they can't do. And we all want that, you know, because we all have things that we can't do well. But yet we don't want to magnify that. We want to magnify the things we do well. But they the same way, no different, you know. And that's what I think. If they look at that individual and they approach them that way, you'll see a better relationship building when it comes down to DSPs and individuals that we serve.
Yeah, and that rings true. Definitely 100%. I agree, because it's just like you or me. I can name 1,000 things that I'm not good at. Sports.
Yeah.
I get my butt kicked by when we go out on field days and stuff and go bowling and all this stuff. I can't win to save my life. I don't want to post that on social media and let everybody know.
You know, be like, hold on, you know? Why you keep showing that?
Yeah. So I love talking to people like you who've been in it for a long time. So instead of looking forward, let's look back a little bit. What are some of the most significant things you've seen change over the years? Because I mean, you're pushing almost 30 years working in this field. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in 30 years.
Yes. Like I say, the biggest independence. You giving them, a lot of them have their own apartments. They're not living in no institution. They be able to pick their own jobs. Back in the day, we found work for them, and we had them just do the work we found. Now they have a choice. They have a choice of provider. Back in the day, they just got placed where they wanted to, you know, we placed them where they wanted to, where was best fit. Like if they was aggressive, we put them in a place like Nico. And now they get to choose their own providers. They could get to interview them and see if they like it. If they don't like it, they can switch to another provider. So all those things right there changed, I think, over the years, as well as just the way we interact with them totally. You know, we don't talk through them, we talk to them. Back in the day, they could be there, and I don't, you know, even then I felt funny about it, but they sitting there, we talking about them with other people and discussing them as if they're not sitting there. Now we talk to them and we let them share that with people. You like to share a little bit about yourself, you know, so those are the things that make a big, huge difference in an individual when it comes down to independence as well as confidence, you know. And that's what we want to see, you know, confidence. We want to see them build their confidence where they could do that, advocate for themselves. So
Yeah, and so kind of to switch topics a little bit. Obviously, with the way things are right now, and there's a lot of shortages and all this kind of stuff. And if you're willing to put in your 2 cents on that, what can we do? We've asked everyone, and we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs and brainstorming, and it's so hard because it's a crisis with staffing at this point,
Yes.
and it's if you listen to any of our other episodes with the pay kind of locked by Medicaid and all this stuff, I don't know what to do.
That's tough. I see a lot of staffing issues, crisis, as you say. Only thing we could do is to address the state, address government, and hopefully, get the funding that they need to be, serviced and looked after, and accordingly. If you go to McDonald's and make $15 an hour, but only can make $10 an hour working for an agency, where are you going? So I don't fault the individuals for want to do well, because we all want to do well and make more money. So I think it's where it's out of our hands, and we have to really address the government or, the state, and see how can we make a difference? How can we make this up? How can we make it right? Because these are individuals we serve, and these are not no cars or no, hamburgers or no French fries. These are people, human beings. Aren't they worth the money that should be put toward, invested in them?
Yeah.
And not just, act like they don't exist. So it is what it is. It's funding. They need more funding. I think the providers need more funding. And you will see a big change. You see a big change in DSPs. You won't see the shortage. So, and a lot of companies paying max money, and it still don't match, the McDonald's, as well as what's the new company now? Amazon, Prime, and these different companies coming out. So it's difficult, and I feel for them. And what do? We can only look at it's above our pay grade,
And it can be demanding work, but what are some of the in your eyes better parts of the job? I mean, as you said, you could have stayed at Jeep and made probably $35 an hour, and you said no, I'm staying here. So, what if someone does want to get into this field? What are the advantages?
The advantages is you understand you build a relationship with individuals. It's to me it was. And over the years, I figured this out because I needed them as much as they needed me. Because I had death in the family like you. I come from a large family. Yeah. And I seen a lot of time where, I had death like 1 month, then a couple months later, another relative died. I have 16 uncles and aunts. Wow. And so it's down to 5 now. So I've seen a lot of relatives pass away. And if it wasn't for my individual served, man, I don't know how they got through that. So I look like, wow, I need them as well as they need me. Yeah. Because they make me laugh. They'll get my mind off of it. We could talk about stuff. They do something real silly, make you just forget about what you're going through at that moment, and you enjoy the moment. And that's what it's about. So I look like it wasn't about money with me. It was about the relationship building. You have to enjoy the job as well. I think if more people that we hire really, really care about people, the money won't mean that much at that moment, because you could build money once you build your credentials, and that's what I did. I went back to school, and I was able to bid on higher paying positions as well as maintaining that relationship with my individuals. So
yeah, and it's really a tough call, because it is a very specialized job, I guess you could say, because you're not a nurse, but you're doing medical work, kind of, and you're not a caretaker, but you kind of are, and you're doing all this awesome stuff. But really, when it comes down to is you're working with people. You're
human beings
there to help a person, and I personally can relate. I mean, I was working at a Fortune 500 company, man. Like I just was like, but. It's like just work, like you said, with Jeep. I'm sure that was stressful. Man. Overtime coming out your ears, and just unfulfilling work.
Yes.
Unfulfilling.
Yes.
And now this is what I do every day. This is my job. This is, and I think a lot of people could really benefit, and I think it's starting to go this way, and that's probably part of why we're seeing these staffing issues, is people are starting to realize money isn't always everything.
Exactly.
You need it. You need a certain amount to be happy and alive and take care of what you need to take care of, kids, medical, car, this, that, just the basic necessities, but anything over that is just extra.
It's just extra.
Yeah.
So what are you getting from it,
Exactly. You do your music. I'm sure that's where a lot of your money goes, as does mine.
Yes.
And that's what brings me joy. So I get to work with my microphones and equipment here at work, and then I get to play with them at home, and it's great.
Man, you can't, the best life when you're able to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And music is the thing that I love. But I don't look at it as a lifestyle for me.
Yeah.
It's like therapy.
Yeah.
After a tough day, a stressful day, I come home, and then I'll be able to create something like this,
Yeah, well, pull that up to the camera. Let's see that. That's your hard work right there. So we'll talk about the CD, man. What was your inspiration?
My inspiration to do this was this guy. I've met him, well, I've known him, but I seen him at a music store, and he said, "Hey, B, man, how you about doing a blues album? Because we still think that we got it for R&B or gospel or whatever genre you're into." And I'm like, "Hold on, man. What do you mean blues? We ain't old enough to do blues yet, And he's like, "Yeah, man, but we getting up there, we 50 plus, man." It's like, hey, Southern Soul, man, that's what's up, man. Ain't that many people in that genre. It's hot right now. He said, "Let's try it." I said, "Okay, I'm going to go home and listen to a few people. Who can I listen to?" So he gave me a few names, what's the guy named Jones, Robert Clayton, Clayton. He gave me a few names. And so I said, okay, I went on, I listened to him. I said, I could do that. Big Rob, from Dayton. I said, oh, man, I could do that, So I got my stuff, started playing with it. Next day, I hit a song. So he came over the next day, and he heard it was I Came to Party. It was the first single.
Ooh.
And he like, man, you know how long it's been? I've been trying to find someone to make this style of music in Toledo, because we got a lot of great musicians here in Toledo.
We really do.
And he like, wow. So we started there, and a couple of weeks later, we had half the album done. And a month later, I had like 23 songs done.
Wow.
So we picked 12, and that's the ones we mastered and tried to make it as best as we could, start writing to them, and we came up with this album.
That's hard. It's like picking your favorite child. You got 23 songs, you got to pick 10 or 12. It's rough.
And we had a team. That's what we had. And we just numbered. You put the number by them, and the ones that everybody had, we just put that on the list. And we kept going till we got to the final, I think it was 11, and we did a remix of the 12th one.
Ooh, nice.
No, 13. We had 12, and the 13th is like a remix of I Came to Party. And
is it the techno version?
Oh, it's the funk version.
Ooh.
We got the Roger Zapp on it. So
what's favorite? I mean, you're multi-instrumentalist. I'm guessing by your hand motion.
Yes.
What's your favorite instrument to play?
The bass guitar.
Ooh, that's a good instrument.
Yes.
What kind of you do? Slap? You more of a finger picking guy?
More finger picking, just locking in the groove.
I think the bass player is the most. This is controversial because coming from a guy who plays heavy metal, bass players are usually like one of the most important in the band because you don't notice them until they're gone.
Exactly. They just feel in that vibe. They feel it in. And everything else you're hearing because it's out there, you know.
Drums are loud.
Guitar's loud.
Keyboards.
The bass just in the background, just doing his thing,
The bass players always look so happy, too. All the rest of the band's out there just like, and the bass player's just like,
because it's not tense, man. It's a groove, So it's a groove.
Yeah, and music's a lot like what we're doing right now, podcasting. It's more podcasting is like a freestyle album, like a freestyle jam. Like you come in, you got a little bit of a layout set up, and then you just kind of play around with those different modes or areas or whatever you want to call it. And I think it's why it's fun. I think that's why a lot of this stuff's good because it gets your creative juices flowing. It keeps you on your toes. And that's how I feel doing this.
I like this, man. This is a great setup.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. So we'll get back into the DD field here for a minute. for people kind of on the fence, like a DSP working, maybe trying to get a promotion, maybe trying to take that next step, manager, or starting their own company, or moving up the chain, maybe working for the county or something and working up that ladder, what advice do you have? Because, I mean, I would assume you've started at the bottom.
Yes, as a bus monitor, yes.
Yeah, so what's advice do you have to someone that does want to stay here and does want to be successful in this field? Because you can be. I see it. I've talked to every CEO in the Northwest Ohio area from every company, basically, and they're all saying it's doable. You got to want it. So what's your advice on that?
My advice is to love what you do. Love people. Love yourself, and look at the work not as work, but as something that you're really doing a duty, a calling, as they say in church, you got to have a calling, and you have to embrace that calling. So once you embrace that calling, you enjoy what you do and you understand who you're working with, embrace that,
Yeah.
And don't look at it as as yourself as superior, but as an equal.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that I did. I looked at them as equals, even though I knew like they had short, areas where they could build, but so did I, so it wasn't no different. It was just a different person with different things we need to work on. So I worked on mine as the years, and I'm still working. I'm 57. I'm still working on things I could do better, and so if I could do that, then I can understand where they trying to get to as well, and embrace that and help them the best way I can, and really care about helping them, not just helping them, but care about.
Yeah, and that's really important. That mindset is really important because it's like, if you take a look back at our old episodes of the podcast, they were awful. They looked bad. I knew what I was doing with the audio part, but the video part and all this stuff is like a whole learning experience. And like, kind of you step back and look where we're at now. It's we're shooting in 4K and we got a studio and all this cool stuff. Tony and I started in here, just sitting at this desk with a camera on us. No idea. We didn't even have microphones or nothing. We were just talking. And, that mindset is going to get people a lot farther, no matter if they're in this field or not. I mean, we're talking like, as wide as you can get. If you have that mindset of growth and you want to be better,
yes,
you're going to do better. If you spend a lot of time blaming other people, oh, my manager doesn't want me to get this promotion. Oh, this person hates me. Oh,
yes.
I hate to say it, but you're not going to get far because
yes.
You always got to look inward when things aren't going right.
And you look at it, just to piggyback off what you said is every issue, we all have a part in it. And I've always been the type of guy to say, what part did I play in it? Instead of what they're doing to me, what part did I play in to create this, whatever's going on? Because I played a part in it. I just need to figure out what part did I play in so I could fix it, correct it. And as long as I'm working on fixing my and correcting what I need to correct, I'm not focused on what's across from me because it only make me better. Which back in my younger days, I used to look at the person across from me and blame them. And that wasn't getting me nowhere because I wasn't taking ownership. I had to be responsible myself because for us to have a conflict, I had to play a part in it. Let me fix my part. Let me correct my part. And anything I did, I apologize for it. Then I move forward because I know I mean that from the bottom of my heart because I don't want to repeat that. And that's the way I try to live my life today. Just try to fix all and correct the things that I need to correct.
And that's going to get you a lot further even, working with an individual. Sometimes they're having bad days like the rest of us, man. And sometimes it can be frustrating. I'm absolutely sure to go in there and through no fault of your own, they might be in a very bad mood. And sometimes you just have to work with someone else's feelings and emotions as well. So how do you handle that? When you go into a situation that's not great, how do you bring it down? And chill.
You be supportive, I let them know you're not by yourself. I'm here. If you need to scream at me. If you need to let it out at me. As long as it's just getting it out, get it out. Now let's talk about it. Well, I'm not, okay, this is what you need to do. That's what I'm here for. I let them know you're not by yourself. I'm here. I'm here supporting you. And that's one of the things that help them calm. And you can see it in their face. They smile because they're not used to being told that you could scream at me. scream at me. It don't hurt nobody to scream. Yeah. Scream at me. Get it out.
Let it go.
Let it go, And then they relax. And we move on with the music. Yeah. That's what it's about.
That's super important. Sometimes you just got to yell.
Just got to yell. Release. Just let me release,
Preferably in a soundproof room like this. But, and so, Tony always likes to ask people who've done this for a long time, what's the worst experience you've ever had working with an individual? I mean, like the one that's like, ooh, that could have been bad.
Yes. You talking about an individual served?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, just working this job in general.
When you know that they can't help it. They can't help it. And all I worked with was real aggressive type of individuals. Yeah. So I had the worst of the worst, and some of the ones you could see that they can improve because they mentally can do that. Then you have some that just can't help it. This is who they are. They're going to bite you. They're going to spit on you. They're going to fight you. You could sit there and make, you could do whatever you can, put calming music on. You could talk to them. And when they have whatever's going on mentally, start to disturb them. You're going to feel them. Those are some of the toughest ones because it's easy for me because I understand they can't help it. That's the part that really calms me is they can't help it. This is who they are. But the toughest part is now I got to still help this individual because I don't want him to hurt himself and I don't want him to hurt other people. So I have to go in there and maybe let him kick me a couple times. Maybe let him hit me at one time so he could get it off. And then I kind of just talk to him and they realize I'm there for him. You could see him calm all the way down. So you can't be afraid of it. You got to embrace it still. So that's the toughest ones.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, you could be one day you could be working with somebody who's just as even keeled and chill, and all they want to do is hang out and go bowling, watch movies. And then some days you can work with someone who wants to punch you in the face.
Yeah, just because you never know what's going on.
It's like going to a family reunion.
And mixing it with that brown water.
The crazy uncle who's trying to fight you or something, or the cousin. Man. But This is weird for me because Tony usually does the rapid fire questions and he has this big dramatic intro. I don't got that. That's not my role in this game. Okay. So we're gonna play a little game here, and we're gonna do it my style. Tony spends the whole episode writing down ideas and questions. I'm just gonna ask questions off the top of my head.
Okay.
So we'll go rapid fire question number 1. The point of the game is to answer them as fast as you possibly can. And you don't have to think about it too much. So, first question number 1, 3 questions.
I ain't good at this.
That's okay. You'll be good at this one.
Okay.
You have one person, dead or alive, musician that you could meet, have a conversation with, jam with, whatever. Who would it be?
Michael Jackson.
Oh, that's a good one. Why? Why Michael Jackson?
From a child, I always been #1 fan. He just will get me locked into him. His voice, his dancing, his entertainment, and the things he does is like always on point. I always was amazed by how he go out front, he do his thing, then he get right back in the group and never look back to see what they're doing and was on point. So I knew that took practice. It's like, man, how many hours does this guy spend on his craft? Because he's excellent. Yeah.
A lifetime. And you can't compare him to anyone.
No.
All that music nowadays, like if someone were to write an album like Michael Jackson did, all those instruments would be played in the studio, little keyboard, maybe some MIDI stuff. Back then, they jammed, man. They was jammed in a room, and the musicianship is amazing.
Yes,
the sound. The quality. Yeah. When I used to run live sound, we would use Michael Jackson songs to test the PA speakers because they were so well mixed and rounded and just so good. But anyway, question number 2. Would you rather go in a submarine to the bottom of the Marianas Trench in the darkest, deepest place of the ocean, or would you rather take a rocket ship and go into outer space?
Man, that's tough because both of them are mine. No, not scary. I wanted to be an astronaut as a kid.
Okay.
But I'm very inquisitive. I like to know what's going on. And there's parts of the ocean we never even visit. So I always wondered, what's down there? A lot of stuff is down there that we can really learn. So that's a toss up, man. I could just, ocean, space, do a coin toss, and I'd be so happy. Yeah.
So you like both of them?
Yes.
Sounds like Tony's here. Hey, look who it is.
What's going on?
Yeah, I can interrupt. It's my show.
That's true.
What's going
Hey,
on,
hop
Tony?
on the mic, Tony. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a surprise guest.
Yes.
Well, also co-host of the show, Tony. Hey, you came at the perfect time. We're on question 3 of rapid fire.
Wow.
Really? Nice.
Get it?
Okay. Question number 3.
Yeah.
Would you rather your hard drive be burnt in a horrible fire or sit on a throne of porcupines?
What?
What in the
That's a
world?
terrible question.
That's the
Man.
best.
What's on the hard drive? All of your
Yeah, it all
music?
depends on what's on the hard
Yeah,
drive.
that's the music, baby. Come on.
Wow.
I know
Yeah.
which one I
You
picked.
know, I would sit on the porcupine.
Fine.
I deal with the
I knew
needles.
that was gonna be the answer.
I deal with the needles.
Yes,
You know?
any true musician they will get that answer. See me, any of my past songs and stuff I did, burn them to hellfire.
I've been trying to think in my brain this whole time. How would Tony ask a question? Because I'm used to my questions. So it's all you now. We got like 10, 15 minutes left. What you got, Tony?
Man, honestly, I'm gonna be real, man. Rapid fire is not on my mind how it should be. Some of the fires and stuff that I had to put out were rapid in themselves. That's why I was late to this. It was like just so many things, and some of the meetings that I was a part of, like. Thank goodness they are meetings of actual conversation, actual changing the dynamics between county relationships, DSPs, agency relationships with the counties, and I don't have anything, man. I'm stumped. I got
all
some
thought
dad
out,
jokes.
huh?
I always got dad jokes.
Y'all thought out, huh?
Heck yeah, man.
So how do you two know each other?
Oh man, go way back, man. I know a lot of Tony people.
Yeah?
You know, his grandma, his uncles. We worked together for years. When I first started, man, in fact, his grandma really looked out for me, man, big time. So, yeah.
She always does that, man.
Lovely, lovely lady. Seriously, lovely. I owe her a lot. When I see her, man, big hugs. So
All the time. You know, it's funny because his last name is Jones.
Yes,
and I
yes.
have Joneses on both sides of my family. So I'm like the definition of keeping up with the Joneses because they're on my mom's and dad's side.
Yeah.
But, you know, Brian has always been a great educator in my eyes. You know, I want to give you your roses while I can be there, man. Throughout the years of us working together and you being so in depth with the mental illness side of things and redirections and stuff like that, he's taught me a lot of skills that if you didn't put me on game early on, I mean, I would be a lost person out here. You know, I would have not realized my potential and what I could grow and do.
And I seen the potential in this guy, man, seriously, from day one. From the dressing to the way he carries himself in public, you know. So I was always like, yeah, he's gonna do it. He's gonna be okay. You know, and look what he's doing, you know.
And
So,
then
yeah.
what happened?
I'm being late. That's what I'm doing. I'm coming to my own podcast late.
Was it? It's my party, and I'll cry if I want.
All right.
Man. So
Man, we
how-
should have had you bring some instruments. We could have jammed.
You know,
coulda
did a little
rocking
something,
and rolling all day.
Man, don't mess around.
You know, I
think
have a
keyboard or something in the
carrying,
back.
I have a road studio I take with me. That's where I go to do stuff with individuals
nice.
serve. I take my traveling studio with me. So I go in and I, like Assured Health, always come in because they love music. And I just jam music on Thursdays. And we listen, we just go back and do music history, which is fun.
That is awesome.
I ask them what you want to hear, they tell me, and we listen to it. Yeah.
Man, the
I
most
love music.
therapeutic thing in
Yes.
life, I think, is music.
Is
It's that
music.
natural. You know, just like when we had Mike Hayes on, he has a company called Heartbeat of Life, and like he was just super awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know, I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of stuff going on.
Man,
So
woo.
let's, before we wrap up, why don't you let people know where they can find out more about your music and you know, all of that fun stuff, social media, email,
Yes.
whatever you want.
any social media this album is on, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. It's everywhere, and it's, like I say, it's doing good. It's slowed down because we put it out during COVID, and right now it's starting to heat up and pick up. And we're getting a lot of phone calls and to come out and do live performances, and that's great. So
Yeah, what's the name of the album?
the name of the album is "I Came to Party" by Big Woo.
Yeah,
By Big Woo.
I love it.
Came to party.
On that note, I want to thank you for having an awesome conversation and doing the work that you do. So, we'll have to chat again sometime. It was a great time.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. You don't know how honored I am to be here, with you guys. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
And keep doing the great work you do.
We'll try.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this episode of the Friends for Life podcast. If you can, help us out. Go down below, hit that subscribe button. Want to take a minute here to thank Brian for coming on and sharing all of his awesome stories, experience, and knowledge with us. If you can, go check out Brian's new music. I'll link the YouTube links down below. Good stuff. And you can always, reach out to Brian and learn more about him, his music, whatever you want. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.